welcome to another Legend Show. The guy sitting next to me truly was one of the great, and has been one of the great interviews that we've ever had. It was always, well, let's call Harry. Harry was the go-to guy. Harry Manion of Manion Gainer, one of the, how do I say this? Outspoken yet extremely well-spoken barristers in New England, and he has a great bent on sports figures. Harry, how many of these guys in the NFL would be in jail if there was no NFL?
Well, Bob, it's been a great journey, and you played a big role in it, and having me on your show for commentary on whatever the issue of the day was, whether it was a player in trouble, a complicated commercial issue involving sports. I just happened to luck into the sports world, and once I lucked into the sports world, having the great opportunity as a young attorney to assist the great Earl Cooley, my late partner and mentor, in the Danny Ainge case, which you covered and remember so well. We represented the late great Red Auerbach and the Celtics, who drafted Danny out of college. And Danny was people forget this, but he was a baseball player under contract to the Toronto Blue Jays, right, and the Bavasi brothers at the time in Labatt's Brewery. And Danny was not doing well in the minor leagues, and didn't think there would be any problem. And in fact, when he went in and told Peter Bavasi, the GM, that, hey, I just got drafted by the Celtics and I think my future is in basketball, having stolen the ball and gone court to basket to basket, yeah, against Notre Dame in the Final Four. Bavasi said, "Godspeed, my son," and then he changed his mind after he called the owners at the brewery and said, "How much did you get for him?" And he said, "I got nothing." And they said, "Well, you'll go get some money, hold up the Celtics." And we litigated that. For 6 weeks, we tried that case in the Southern District of New York, and Harry Mangoring and Red and Earl actually settled it while the jury was out. And that gave me my springboard in the sports. Danny Ainge was my first client. And from that point on, the other piece that gave me my springboard into sports was I was on the other side of the late great Bob Wolf, the #1 sports agent, who was considered the godfather of sports agents. And Bob had a case representing Larry Bird. We had the victim in that case. It was involving a barroom brawl. And
Chelsea's was the name of the bar, right?
Yes, it was. And you've got a great memory, Bob.
There's some things that you seem to remember more than others.
Bob Wolf and I and my former partner and close friend Pat Jones settled it in a professional way without ever invoking any kind of threats against Larry. Just thought he had a bad night, and we treated it like any other injury. And Bob was very impressed with Patrick and me, and afterwards, about 6 months later, he had us over and asked me to be his go-to lawyer. And from that moment on, I represented all his clients. Robert Parrish, when he got the alleged marijuana in the
I had
mail.
to go cover that story.
Yeah, I saw you there in the courthouse. And Pete Carroll and Joe Montana and Doug Flutie and all of his tremendous array of, and so people started thinking I was a sports agent, and I'm not. As you know, I'm a corporate litigator. I represent businesses who sue one another, and have always. But I have this sports life that then it has been a source of such great satisfaction and fun. And thanks to you and the great Eddie Andelman, who had me on day one as his legal analyst in the early days of EEI, and my close dear friend Bob Newmeyer, we're also thrilled to see him back in the chair, you and all the guys. So I just became sort of the go-to sports lawyer, and I'm not a sports agent, I'm not a sports lawyer, but it's been so much fun, and it's been great.
I always wondered why CNN or something didn't glom onto you, but there's a couple of guys that they already had for a long time. But now you've talked about some big-time names. I drop names all the time because it's my business. You drop names all the time because it's your business. The severity of the crimes, I shouldn't say crimes, well, maybe I should. The severity seems to have gone into the world of physical. Either it's domestic abuse, murder. Okay, there's certainly about as far as you can go.
Well, I've covered the gamut, Bob. I've handled, and I still do, for players, for coaches, for owners, and for agents. I've handled their commercial disputes, business, mostly business problems.
Right.
But because I'm known to be a problem solver, discreet and pragmatic, and I believe I can get anything solved if we work hard enough, I've handled everything from paternity to domestic abuse to statutory rape to violent rape to attempted murder to blackmail to libel to everything, and to including their families, the athletes' families. The great agents like the late great Bob Wolf and Randy Vataha, as you know, because you cover the industry, when they take on a player, they take on every aspect of the player's life. If you're fortunate enough to have Larry Bird as your client, if Larry's mother needs insurance in Indiana, you're going to get that insurance for her. If Larry's mother gets sued in Indiana for some, because she was in a traffic accident, you are going to call Harry Manion. Bob is going to, or Randy's going to call me and say, Harry, do we have people in Indiana that can handle this? And I always say, yes, we do, because I actually do through my national practice. And so that's how we've done it. So I've traveled the United States for the players. I have represented Willie McGinnis, lawyer. It's just but I've never been their agent. I work for their agents. And
I understand, right?
Yeah.
But I think your part and your side of it, and who you work for, whether it's the client or the agent, there have got to be some really clients that you hesitated to take on. Is that a fair case? Or
no, I mean, look, they're always calling, Bob.
Aaron Hernandez.
I would never. I declined. I was given a heads up on that case, and I made it known that I was not interested and available for that case, and I would not have been interested in that. As you know, I covered it from arrest to verdict for Channel 4, because I'm the legal analyst at Channel 4 for the last 2 years. And I thought he was guilty the minute I saw the police reports.
How do you become New England's highest volume GM dealer? By offering straightforward, no-hassle pricing on every one of our 1,400 in-stock models. You see, at Banks, we do things the New Hampshire way, where zero-down leases actually mean no money down. We don't advertise pricing on vehicles we can't sell just to get you in the door. And we won't fine print you to death with reasons you don't qualify. So come see for yourself just why Banks is the country's only GMC and Chevrolet Dealer of the Year. Banks, Chevrolet, Cadillac, Buick, GMC.
Are you a New Hampshire resident living with hair loss? Did you know that Hair Club has an office in Manchester? Losing your hair is no fun, and no one wants to be bald, but there is hope. Simply go to hairclubnewhampshire.com to learn about Hair Club's proven hair loss solutions, backed by our 100% satisfaction guarantee. It's time to get your hair back and look and feel your best. Go to hairclubnewhampshire.com to receive your free brochure and schedule your free local consultation.
Why does Cold Springs RV have the biggest inventory in company history? To bring you more choices in pop-ups, travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes, park models, and toy haulers. Why does Cold Springs RV keep the doors open? So you can enjoy pressure-free shopping. Come browse the massive selection on the lot or step inside the superstore for all your camping needs. Cold Springs RV, where big selection meets friendly service. Cold Springs RV, Ware, New Hampshire. ColdSpringsRV.com.
If you're a GM, Belichick comes to mind, and so do the Patriots. They seem to have had a hands-off policy to shady guys. However, that seems to have changed. They'll take whoever they think they can use to win because they're in love with winning, not with the players. So how do you reconcile that, and how would you advise them to stay away from the rumored bad guys, or do you think a lot of them, they all think they can reclaim these guys, right? They all think they can make them better.
I think an enormous amount of effort and expense goes into vetting every player.
I was going to ask you about,
Enormous amount. Unprecedented from
Well, didn't
from
they know
history.
Hernandez was a punk?
Hernandez was a very difficult case. Yes, they knew he was a punk. Yes, they knew he was connected to gangs in his hometown. But he was giving all the appearances of saying and doing the right things. He did a lot.
50,000 in the Myra Craft Foundation.
Yeah, and more than that, he was out in the community. He was following sort of Tom's lead and the other great leaders of our team's lead. You know, the great Vince Wilfork, who just did so much for the community, and Teddy Bruschi and Nink and everybody. We have a great team, and he was giving all the appearances. He had a secret life that he couldn't disconnect from, connected to where he came from in Connecticut, and secretly that's what drove him. And obviously he has a deep psychological and sociological problems.
Okay, so we were talking about the amount of money that's spent on vetting these guys, and it's, some people seem to do it better than others. Some people say, well, if he can help us win, take him and we'll deal with it.
I don't think so. I don't think Belichick's like that, and I don't think that's their MO. They are data driven. In other words, just because a guy has a bad reputation or a reputation for being a little, asocial or antisocial, that's not enough. Give me the data. What do we know that he has done, and how has he handled it? That's what they want to know, and they really vet it. I mean, they use private investigators. They use, and with the internet now, you can get so much information on people. And they really do. There are people sitting in Foxborough right now. Well, the draft's over, but before
Checking
the
out
draft,
Harry Manion.
no, they don't have to worry about you and me, Bob.
Oh, good, because we're together right now,
that's
so
right. We
we're
don't have to
safe.
worry
We
about
have
us.
witnesses right
Don't
now.
mess with us.
No, absolutely, but you don't have to worry about this morning. The worst of the worst, I suppose Hernandez was, and I keep going to the dark side because there's so many domestic abuse issues, and maybe it's because they've always been there but have never really been reported. That kind of seems to be where I think you're going on this.
Yeah, I think because normally without Instagram, without the iPhone camera, without the elevator surveillance on Ray Rice, you don't know what happened. When you actually see violence, it really, I've actually seen it. I've seen the photos, I've seen the injuries as a lawyer, but I'm a professional. When the public actually sees a running back punch his wife in the face or in the stomach, it's very, very upsetting. And so that's the difference. It's the evidence is now public. And before, I'm sure there was domestic abuse. Domestic abuse is a terrible, terrible problem in this country and others. And often happens, as we all know, because of substance abuse, alcohol, marijuana, and worse. Ecstasy, oxycodone.
And it's all available because it follows the money.
It follows the money, and again, those all happen at 3 a.m, and so we see it, and we don't like it, and we want somebody to do something about it.
What about the performance enhancing? This is something that we all know that this has been the conversation, and there's been denials, there's been lying, there's been. In fact, I think the public cares less about the use than they do about the lying. But I don't know. Where do you come down on this? What was it? Was it legal in the league and not legal in the country, or was it? These things were kind of shaky throughout the early 90s and 2000.
I don't want to insult any of my owner clients.
Well,
but,
go ahead. We'll take it.
And
Hold on a
management.
second. That's them. They're calling me now.
Exactly.
Right.
Don't worry, we can
Okay.
handle the libel suits.
Go ahead. Yeah. You say that now. But No, I believe you. I'm not.
I defended you. I prosecuted for you.
Yes, I know you did, and it was the right thing to do.
We scared him.
Okay, hold on a second. Yeah, all right. Go ahead. It's my daughter in Oregon. It's not a big deal. It's a big deal for
Is she in Oregon?
She's in Oregon. Yeah, my oldest daughter.
Oh, your oldest daughter. Gotcha. Okay, where were we?
We were talking about performance-enhancing drugs. Okay.
My view on it, Bob, is that it was tacitly condoned by ownership for periods of time, and
Why? Because it made the product more excitable.
correct. It made home runs. We don't we can go back to Mark McGuire. We can go back to the home run chase. We can
Say baseball, didn't it?
it didn't hurt it any.
Right, McGuire
and
Sosa.
Didn't hurt it any, and look what we. And so it's sort of hypocritical, and so no, they've changed, and the world changed, and the players changed, but I think in the first instance I hang it on ownership and the leagues because they could have.
I think you're right.
On the second, on the counterpoint, let's remember this: these are all collective bargained situations. The players don't come in and sit down at the table with Mike D in San Diego and Sam Kennedy and Larry Lucchino here. They don't. It's collective bargained with a very, very powerful union, the Players Association, the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, against big union lawyers, and they collectively bargained drug testing, and they were adamantly opposed to it. Why? The answer is, if there's not a problem, why are you opposed to it? Well, it's an invasion of privacy. That usually means my client's doing it, and I don't want him to get caught. Okay, I'll translate that for you.
Now, even further, Harry, the testing, it seems to be done on a very predictable, regular basis. So my feeling is, along with others that I've had a chance to talk to, if you get caught, you're pretty stupid, because everybody seems to know when the test is going to be. There's no reason for you to get caught.
No, it is pretty predictable. And again, they don't want anybody to get caught. Only the blatant people get caught, and when they do, they get punished. And it's not good for the game. The allegation itself is not good for the game. It doesn't help ratings. It doesn't sell TV time. And that's what it's all about. Sports is money. That sports is money. Pro sports is money. So is college sports.
Clearly,
Yeah.
but I think one of the real damages of the PEDs is now, Ortiz hits a 400-foot home run, and people are saying, "Hey, look, how old is he? How come he can hit?" It's all about the suspicion. Everybody's under suspicion.
Well, I know David personally very well. My wife and I are close friends with him and his family. And I know David Ortiz is a biological wonder. He takes tremendous care of himself. If you've seen him this season, he's in great shape. He really takes care of his body, and he's the real deal, in my opinion, and I know him personally.
But you understand, as a
I
fan,
do.
They go back to the list of 100 and a few names, so.
I do.
And it's not, that to me, that just doesn't go away. It's all embedded in terms of,
all this asterisk stuff I don't even buy into. Look, it was the game then. David Ortiz was a superstar who won us the World Series when he did, and he won us the World Series in 2013, which was one of the greatest performances I've ever seen of clutch hitting in my life, and that's because he's a clutch, great athlete, and there's no asterisk needs to go by his name.
Your favorite case, maybe it was the biggest upset in the courtroom that you can remember. I'd say the one that you probably, what case have you walked out of and saying, damn, that was really good?
Well, I've tried over 100 cases to verdict, Bob, where you stand up with everybody, all rise, has their jury reached a verdict. I've done 100 plus of those, many commercial cases, some criminal, some employment. I've had, because I was Earl Cooley's understudy and protege, if I can say that now that he's passed away, I got to try a lot of cases very, very early on. And they were, always interesting and always extremely exciting. I view it, Bob, as every jury trial is like the 7th game of the World Series. It's like the Super Bowl. You got to bring everything you have. You have to train for it. And the key for my track record, which is pretty darn good, I think I've lost 3 jury verdicts in my career. The real bad cases I settle on either side, is by peaking at the right time. And being trained as an athlete, being an athlete growing up, going to Arizona State, I learned how to compete, and I learned how to lose. And I really hate losing. So I peak at the right time. I still do at my 35th, 36th year at practicing law. I try to peak at the right time. I try to keep myself in shape. And if I'm trying a 2-week, 4-week, 2-month trial, it's all a matter of peaking at the right time and bringing everything you got to the jury. So the verdicts have been, every one of them has meant something special to me. Obviously, the most important, Bob, are the personal ones. I tried a case involving $1 billion in the Southern District of New York in 2012 against the greatest trial lawyer in the country, David Boies. We went one-on-one for 7 weeks, and it was a great trial.
Are you a New Hampshire resident living with hair loss? Did you know that Hair Club has an office in Manchester? Losing your hair is no fun, and no one wants to be bald, but there is hope. Simply go to hairclubnewhampshire.com to learn about Hair Club's proven hair loss solutions, backed by our 100% satisfaction guarantee. It's time to get your hair back and look and feel your best. Go to hairclubnewhampshire.com to receive your free brochure and schedule your free local consultation.
How do you become New England's highest volume GM dealer? By offering straightforward, no-hassle pricing on every one of our 1,400 in-stock models. You see, at Banks, we do things the New Hampshire way, where zero-down leases actually mean no money down. We don't advertise pricing on vehicles we can't sell just to get you in the door. And we won't fine print you to death with reasons you don't qualify. So come see for yourself just why Banks is the country's only GMC and Chevrolet Dealer of the Year. Banks, Chevrolet, Cadillac, Buick, GMC.
Why does Cold Springs RV have the biggest inventory in company history? To bring you more choices in pop-ups, travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes, park models, and toy haulers. Why does Cold Springs RV keep the doors open? So you can enjoy pressure-free shopping. Come browse the massive selection on the lot or step inside the superstore for all your camping needs. Cold Springs RV, where big selection meets friendly service. Cold Springs RV, Ware, New Hampshire. ColdSpringsRV.com.
I have not been in the courtroom with you to watch you operate. When I say operate, it's kindness. I'm saying that with all respect. But I would have to believe, since you're so well spoken, you've been such a great source for us over the years, that I think that you're probably pretty theatrical in the courtroom.
Yes and no. What I am is credible. I'm credible, I'm sincere, and I'm passionate. And I believe that's what you need. I'm not theatrical in the sense as I don't quote the Bible, I don't quote Shakespeare. I'm not particularly erudite. I am a Sun Devil, and I'm a very proud Sun Devil, and an Eagle. But what I am is I'm very prepared, I'm very sincere, and the great trial lawyers, as I learned, are those that confront the facts boldly. And I never take a position, factually, that I know the jury's going to reject. I just won't insult I will say, my client had the gun, and this is what happened, okay? And so I believe that I have a passionate, energetic, but credible approach. And I teach it, I believe it. I do the same thing when I'm on with you and when I'm on the air. I try to bring a credible approach, not to try to get ratings, not to try to say something controversial, not being afraid to make a mistake or take a position, because why have an analyst? This is just our opinion. If I come on your show and you say, Harry, how's it going in the Hernandez case? Well, it could go either way. Well, that's helpful. He's presumed innocent. Well, you know that. And then the viewers, I just don't want to insult the viewers. Every time we did Sports Final, I wanted to come away from that thinking, well, you know what? Bob and I maybe moved the ball a little and connected with some people on this.
Did we ask you back time and time again?
Yes, you did.
I wonder why that was.
Because I did it for free, and I was, and I'm cheap, and I love you, and I love you. That's the reason.
No, but you always brought your A game.
Thank you.
That was.
I either brought my A game or one of my children to watch who
that was
loved
always
it.
great.
Yeah.
That was great. I don't know where we are time-wise, but I love sitting down. I love to hear about Harry Manion adventures, and I know that you're also involved in some really intense charitable work. And
Oh yeah, we all are. You and I both know we were at Charles River Center Friday night, 20 years for you doing it. It's a beautiful little charity in Needham that take care of intellectually delayed people, mentally disabled people, of which my son JP, who you know well, he has Fragile X syndrome and is a proud resident member, he doesn't reside there, of Charles River. Bob, as we all know, has been the MC of our gala for 20 straight years, only missing one because of his injury. And so
It's for free, too.
And all I know is the athletes in this town, the teams in this town, and the sports media in this town just never say no. And I don't believe that's the case elsewhere. I've heard it's not the case elsewhere. I heard everyone has their hand out, or what kind of ratings are we going to go. But I know virtually every sports person in this town, and everyone says yes. Larry Lucchino never, and Stacy never say no. Wick Grosbeck never says no. Charlie Jacobs never says no. Tom Brady never says no when asked. Best buddies. This is what's unique about us in Boston. Our sports media, our sports ownership, and our players are the most charitable, and I just don't think that's debatable.
Okay, last question. Okay, this is just, I'm interested in some information. Okay, this
Sure.
is going to be, I might even pay you for this.
Please.
I didn't say how much. But
Exactly.
how much I'll pay you. We have extra jackets.
Exactly. I have a lot of Bob Lobel hats.
Well, here's the deal with the Red Sox. This group came in. They've done remarkable things when you take a look at what's happened in the last 12 years. But it's going to end. It's going to end. I don't know. It seems like it's going to end soon, but I'm not sure. But I have a feeling you probably know how close it is to moving on to the next phase.
Well, I'm a close personal friend of Larry Lucchino's and Sam Kennedy's.
Both great guys.
And I'm a very good friend of John Henry's, and I've been with them since day one. I knew Larry and Sam and Mike D back out in San Diego days, and I was pretty much their first friend here. And they did beyond any expectation I ever had. They exceeded every expectation. And look how we've populated the world. Theo's in Chicago, Mike D's in San Diego, and those are all Larry guys. Larry is the best professional sports executive in our generation. I don't think that's debatable. And he is a force. He's healthy. And I would not count out this group, and I would not count out the Red Sox, and I think we have many, many good days ahead of us.
All right, that was a good avoidance.
That's how I feel.
It's a good attack.
I'm a believer.
You are a believer. Well, talking to you, I'm a believer too. I'm
a
really
believer.
glad you came in.
Thanks for
Here's the
having me,
thing.
Bob.
The best part of having you on is that I get to share you with everybody. I want people to see Harry Manion and see how really fortunate the Boston area is to have a Harry Manion, because they don't exist in any other market. So I kind of like to show you off, actually.
Bob, thank you. It's a pleasure always to be with you.
We showed him off today. Harry Manion. Call him if you need him. I got the number. Speed dial. Thanks for being with us.